Lady Deli says, how would you respond if someone you love said something like, I won't believe in any God unless he performs a supernatural miracle right in front of me? I would, okay, so here's what I would hope to do, is I would hope to help them realize that they've created an artificial standard as a way of avoiding reasons to believe in God. Right? Like, I won't believe in, say, Bill Gates unless Bill Gates pays my mortgage. There are other ways of proving God exists than him doing a supernatural miracle right in front of you, but you've decided that none of those matter. What I would want them to realize is what they've done is they've erected an artificial standard for proving God's existence as a way of ignoring tons of evidence and proof for God's existence. That in itself flows from an incredible personal bias against all the evidence for God's existence. That means that there's a stubborn heart that's already pulling away from God, and that is a concern. So I would want them to know that. How do you communicate that to them? How do you tell them that? You won't believe unless he does a miracle right in front of you. So you don't think there's any evidence in the world that no matter how good it is, it doesn't matter? The evidence for the resurrection of Christ, the evidence for the miracles he's done in other people's lives, like he has to do a miracle right in front of you. And then the question I have is, would you really, and here's Lady Delee, here's a question you might have for the person. Ask them, if you did become convinced, let's say a miracle happens in front of you, would you not only just believe God exists, but would you actually follow Jesus in your life and love him and serve him and worship him? Find the answer to that question and you'll find out what the real issue is. Because if their answer is no, if I came to believe that it was all true, I don't know, maybe I'd think about it. I don't know if I'd really be able to. Then it's the rebellious heart that is the real issue between them and God. It's not the evidence. If their answer is absolutely I would be wholeheartedly do it. Then I would want to work on changing their standard of evidence. Because an attitude that goes to God, I mean, look at Jesus, okay? When Jesus was doing miracles, he did many miracles, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they had heard of his miracles, and they had good reason to believe he did miracles. In fact, they even at one point said, oh, he does it by the power of Satan, right? Because they're trying to explain away these miraculous things Jesus is doing. But then when they go, do a miracle for us like you did in these other places, Jesus does nothing for them. And he says, the only sign they'll be given this generation is, and then he talked about his death and resurrection. Because when a stubborn heart turns to God and says, forget all your evidence and all your proof, I don't care. Dance for me, monkey. Like, when that heart goes to God, they don't tend to get an answer. It's the heart that's the issue. And the humble heart receives Christ, and the arrogant heart rejects Christ even when there is evidence. So I don't want to deal with that. God give you wisdom to help the person to see it, because they probably think they're being very smart.